Nathan West's shocking return, a life altered forever. The sterile scent of antiseptic fills Nathan West's nostrils as consciousness slowly creeps back into his weary mind. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead, casting harsh shadows across the hospital room walls. As his eyes adjust to the brightness, the familiar face of Detective Dante Falconeri comes into focus. Sitting vigilantly in the chair beside his bed, Dante, Nathan's voice emerges as barely a whisper, his throat raw from the trauma his body has endured. The relief that washes over his longtime partner and best friend's face is immediately evident, though it's quickly tempered by the weight of unspoken questions that hang heavy in the air between them. "You're awake," Dante says, leaning forward with concern etched deep in his features. "Nathan, man, everyone thought you were dead. It's been 7 years." The words hit Nathan like a physical blow. 7 years. The number seems impossible. Yet the changes he notices in Dante's appearance, the subtle lines around his eyes, the slightly graying temples confirm the devastating truth. Nathan's hand instinctively moves to his chest, where phantom pain reminds him of the bullet that should have ended his life. A tale of deception and survival. As the initial shock begins to subside, Nathan finds himself compelled to share the incredible story of his survival with the one person he trusts most in this world. Dante has always been more than just his partner at the Port Charles Police Department. Their bond runs deeper than professional courtesy, forged through countless dangerous situations and shared experiences that only fellow officers could truly understand. "Dante, what I'm about to tell you, it's going to sound impossible," Nathan begins, his voice gaining strength with each word. "Faison didn't kill me that day. He staged my death, made everyone believe I was gone while he had me transported to a remote island." Dante's expression shifts from relief to bewilderment, then to a mixture of anger and concern. The implications of Nathan's revelation are staggering. If Faison had orchestrated such an elaborate deception, it means Nathan has been held captive for 7 long years while his loved ones mourned his loss. "An island," Dante presses, his detective instincts kicking in despite the emotional turmoil. "Nathan, where have you been all this time?" The memories come flooding back, the sterile laboratory facilities, the constant surveillance, the missions Faison forced him to complete under threat of never returning home. Nathan describes the elaborate compound where he was held, a place that felt more like a high-security research facility than a traditional prison. There were others there too, people Faison had collected for his various schemes and experiments. "He kept me alive because he had uses for me," Nathan explains, his voice hardening with the bitterness of those lost years. "There were missions, tasks he needed someone with my particular skills to complete. Each time, he promised it would be the last, that if I cooperated, he'd let me return to Port Charles. But it was always another lie, the devastating personal revelation." However, the story of his captivity isn't the most painful truth Nathan must share with his friend. As he speaks, another memory surfaces, one that had haunted him during those final moments before Faison's men took him. It's a revelation that threatens to shatter everything he thought he knew about his marriage and the life he believed he was fighting to return to. "There's something else, Dante," Nathan says, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "Something I discovered right before I was shot. It's about Maxie and Spinelli." Dante's attention sharpens, sensing the gravity of what's coming. Nathan's relationship with Maxie Jones had been one of the bright spots in Port Charles, a love story that many residents had rooted for despite the obstacles they faced. "I found out that Maxie had been having an affair with Spinelli," Nathan continues, each word feeling like glass in his throat. "It had been going on for months before I was shot. James isn't my biological son." The silence that follows is deafening. Dante stares at his friend, processing the magnitude of this revelation. James West, the little boy who had grown up hearing stories about his heroic father, the child who had been raised believing Nathan was his biological parent. It's all based on a fundamental lie. "Nathan, are you sure about this?" Dante asks gently, though he can see the certainty in his friend's eyes. This changes everything." Nathan nods slowly, the pain of the betrayal still fresh despite the years that have passed. "I had proof. DNA results that I'd ordered after I started noticing things, the way Maxie and Spinelli interacted. Small details that didn't add up. I was planning to confront her the night I was shot." The current crisis. The conversation turns to present circumstances, and Dante reluctantly shares the devastating news about Maxie's current condition. She's been in a coma for weeks, the result of a mysterious medical emergency that doctors are still struggling to understand. The irony isn't lost on either man. Nathan has returned to find the woman who betrayed him fighting for her life, unable to answer for her deceptions or explain her actions. She can't confirm or deny anything right now, Dante says carefully, watching Nathan's reaction. The doctors aren't sure when or if she'll wake up. Nathan processes this information with a mixture of emotions. Despite everything Maxie put him through, despite the lies and the betrayal, she's still the mother of the child he raised as his own. There's no satisfaction in learning about her condition, only a complex web of feelings that 7 years of captivity haven't managed to untangle. What about James? Nathan asks, his voice catching slightly on the name. How is he handling all of this? Dante explains that Spinelli has been caring for the boy, along with Maxie's other children. The man who is likely James's biological father has stepped into a paternal role, something that adds another layer of complexity to an already complicated situation. The long road to recovery. As their conversation continues, it becomes clear that Nathan's ordeal is far from over. While he may have escaped from Faison's island compound, the years of captivity have taken their toll both physically and mentally. His body bears the scars of his imprisonment, and his mind struggles to process the dramatic changes that have occurred in Port Charles during his absence. I'm going to need time to recover fully, Nathan admits, acknowledging the obvious. The doctors say I'm lucky to be alive, but there's still a lot of healing that needs to happen. More concerning, however, is the threat that still looms over him. Even though Nathan managed to escape, Faison's network of associates and loyal followers remains active. There have been reports of suspicious activity around the hospital, suggesting that his freedom may be temporary unless proper security measures are implemented. Faison's people won't just let this go, Nathan warns Dante. They'll come for me, and anyone close to me could be in danger. I can't let what happened before happen again. Dante nods grimly, already formulating plans for protection details and security protocols. The Port Charles Police Department will need to mobilize resources to ensure Nathan's safety while he recovers, and investigations will need to be launched to track down any remaining threats from Faison's organization, unraveling the web of deception. As Nathan continues to share details about his captivity, a disturbing pattern begins to emerge. Faison's island operation wasn't just about holding prisoners. It was part of a larger network of criminal enterprises that may still be operational. There were other facilities, other victims, and other schemes that Nathan witnessed during his 7 years of imprisonment. We need to contact the WSB, Nathan tells Dante, his voice gaining urgency. There are people still trapped in those facilities, and there are operations that need to be shut down. What I experienced was just one small part of something much larger. The implications are staggering. If Nathan's information is accurate, it could lead to the unraveling of an international criminal conspiracy that has been operating for years. However, it also means that Nathan's return puts him at the center of a dangerous investigation that could attract unwanted attention from powerful enemies. The emotional toll. Despite the importance of the information Nathan possesses, Dante can see the emotional toll that everything is taking on his friend. 7 years of isolation and manipulation have left deep psychological wounds that will require professional treatment and the support of loved ones. The betrayal he discovered before his disappearance adds another layer of trauma that complicates his recovery process. You don't have to face this alone, Dante assures him, placing a supportive hand on Nathan's shoulder. Whatever you need, protection, medical care, someone to talk to, will make sure you have it. The gesture of friendship means more to Nathan than Dante could possibly know. During his years of captivity, memories of their partnership and friendship were among the few things that kept him sane and motivated to survive. Knowing that those bonds remain intact despite the time that has passed provides a crucial anchor in his turbulent emotional state. Looking toward an uncertain future, as visiting hours draw to a close, both men understand that Nathan's return marks the beginning of a complex and potentially dangerous chapter for everyone involved. The truth about James's paternity will eventually need to be addressed, particularly when Maxie recovers from her coma. Spinelli, who has been functioning as the boy's father figure, will need to confront the reality of the situation. There's also the question of how Nathan will readjust to life in Port Charles. After 7 years of absence, the town has changed, people have moved on, and relationships have evolved in ways that may be difficult for him to accept. His son, biological or not, has grown up without him, forming bonds and memories that don't include Nathan as a central figure. Take it one day at a time, Dante advises as he prepares to leave. Focus on getting stronger first. Everything else can wait until you're ready to deal with it. Nathan nods, though both men know that the various crises surrounding his return won't wait patiently for him. To feel prepared, Faison's associates are likely already planning their next move, and the complex web of relationships in Port Charles will inevitably draw him back into the dramatic conflicts that define life in their community. As Dante heads toward the door, Nathan calls out one final request. Keep an eye on James for me. Whatever the truth is about his parentage, he doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle of adult problems. He's just a kid who's already been through enough. The request speaks to Nathan's fundamental character even after years of captivity and betrayal. Even facing an uncertain future filled with danger and difficult truths, his first concern remains protecting the innocent. It's a reminder of why he became a police officer in the first place, and why his friendship with Dante has endured despite the extraordinary circumstances that have tested it. As the hospital room falls quiet once again, Nathan closes his eyes and tries to process everything that has happened. His return to Port Charles was supposed to be a homecoming, but instead, it feels more like stepping into an entirely different life. The challenge now will be finding a way to rebuild and move forward, while confronting the shadows of both his past captivity and the betrayals that preceded it. The road ahead promises to be difficult, filled with physical recovery, emotional healing, legal complications, and ongoing security concerns. However, with allies like Dante at his side and the truth finally beginning to emerge, Nathan West faces his uncertain future with the same determination that helped him survive 7 years of imprisonment. The question that remains is whether Port Charles is ready for all the revelations his return will inevitably bring to light. Next, we will learn about the explosive situation surrounding Kai Taylor and the devastating web of secrets that could either save or destroy multiple lives in Port Charles. Kai Taylor's dangerous discovery. The intricate chess game of deception in Port Charles has taken a monumental turn, with Kai Taylor unexpectedly becoming the holder of information that could completely reshape the fates of Drew Kane and Michael Corinthos. During the chaotic attack that left Drew fighting for his life, Kai made a split-second decision that would prove to be both brilliant and potentially catastrophic. Accompanied by his devoted partner Trina Robinson, Kai managed to infiltrate Drew's supposedly impenetrable safe during the height of the violence, demonstrating remarkable courage and quick thinking under extreme pressure. The documents Kai successfully extracted from the safe contained explosive blackmail material that Drew had been ruthlessly wielding against Portia Robinson, revealing the depths of Drew's manipulative tactics and his willingness to destroy lives for personal gain. However, what Kai didn't find proved to be just as significant as what he discovered. There was absolutely no evidence linking Drew to any bribery schemes involving the recently deceased Judge Eva Heron, suggesting that Drew's hands were clean regarding that particular scandal. This absence of evidence initially painted Drew as an unlikely suspect in the judge's murder, but the treacherous landscape of Port Charles politics was about to shift dramatically. Unknown to Kai at the time of his daring raid, powerful forces were already in motion to ensure Drew's downfall through more sinister means. Sonny's calculated frame-up operation. The situation has become exponentially more complex with Sonny Corinthos orchestrating an elaborate frame-up operation through his trusted associate Brick, who has successfully planted incriminating documents directly into Drew's safe. This calculated move represents Sonny's trademark ruthlessness and his ability to manipulate evidence to serve his own agenda, regardless of the innocent lives that might be destroyed in the process. The planted evidence creates a perfect storm of circumstantial proof that will implicate Drew in Judge Heron's murder and suggest his involvement in illegal custody manipulation schemes. Sonny's timing is particularly devious, as he knows that Drew's weakened state following the shooting will make him vulnerable to these serious accusations. The beauty of Sonny's plan lies in its simplicity. The evidence will appear to have been hidden in Drew's own safe all along, making it nearly impossible for Drew to claim innocence without seeming desperate and delusional. Brick's expertise in covert operations ensures that the planted documents will withstand initial scrutiny from law enforcement, creating a web of false evidence that will be difficult to unravel. This methodical approach demonstrates Sonny's evolution from a street-level criminal to a sophisticated mastermind capable of orchestrating complex legal entrapments. The burden of Kai's secret knowledge. Kai now finds himself in an impossible position, possessing knowledge that could exonerate Drew while simultaneously exposing his own criminal activities. His first-hand knowledge of the safe's contents before Sonny's manipulation makes him the only person capable of proving Drew's innocence regarding the judge's murder. But speaking up would require admitting to breaking and entering during a violent crime scene. The weight of this secret knowledge is crushing Kai, as he realizes that his silence could result in Drew facing life imprisonment, or even the death penalty for crimes he didn't commit. Yet revealing the truth would not only expose his own illegal activities, but also drag Trina into a legal nightmare that could destroy her promising future. This moral dilemma is tearing at Kai's conscience, forcing him to weigh his personal ethics against the potential consequences for himself and the woman he loves. The irony of the situation is particularly bitter. Kai's original intention was to protect Trina's family by removing the blackmail material, but his heroic actions have now placed both of them in jeopardy. The documents he retrieved to free Portia from Drew's manipulation have become evidence of his own criminal behavior, creating a paradox where doing the right thing has led to potentially catastrophic consequences. Drew's shocking false accusation. The situation reached a fever pitch when Drew regained consciousness and immediately pointed an accusing finger at Michael Corinthos, claiming that Michael was responsible for the shooting that nearly cost Drew his life. This explosive accusation sent shockwaves through the hospital and the broader Port Charles community, as Drew's reputation for honesty made his claims seem credible. To those unaware of the full circumstances, Kai and Trina, however, know with absolute certainty that Drew's accusation is completely false, having been present during the attack and witnessing the chaos firsthand, without seeing Michael anywhere near the scene. This puts them in the agonizing position of watching an innocent man being falsely accused, while possessing the knowledge to clear his name. Drew's motivation for this false accusation remains unclear, but it effectively protects the real shooter while potentially destroying Michael's life and reputation. The false accusation also serves Drew's purposes by creating a narrative that portrays him as a victim rather than a potential suspect, deflecting attention from his own questionable activities and the evidence that Sonny has planted in his safe. This strategic misdirection demonstrates Drew's desperation and his willingness to sacrifice Michael to save himself, revealing a darker side of his character that few in Port Charles have seen. Trina's heart-wrenching dilemma. Trina Robinson finds herself caught in an emotional whirlwind that threatens to tear apart her relationships and her future. Her deep loyalty to Kai conflicts with her moral obligation to prevent an innocent person from suffering for crimes they didn't commit. As Jocelyn Jack's closest friend, Trina has a personal connection to Michael that makes staying silent about his innocence feel like a betrayal of one of her most cherished friendships. The pressure on Trina is intensified by her family connections and her desire to protect those she loves most. Her mother Portia's freedom from Drew's blackmail hinges on maintaining the secret of the safe robbery, but Trina's conscience is being torn apart by the knowledge that her silence is allowing injustice to prevail. The weight of these competing loyalties is causing Trina sleepless nights and emotional turmoil that threatens to overwhelm her typically strong resolve. Trina's relationship with Kai is also being tested by this crisis, as she struggles to understand how they can build a future together. While harboring such a devastating secret, her natural inclination toward honesty and justice conflicts with her desire to protect Kai and their relationship, creating internal tension that grows more unbearable with each passing day. The ticking time bomb of truth. As the investigation into both the shooting and Judge Heron's murder intensifies, the pressure on Kai and Trina continues to mount exponentially. The Port Charles Police Department is methodically gathering evidence and interviewing witnesses, and it's only a matter of time before their investigation leads them closer to the truth about the safe robbery. Each day that passes without revelation increases the risk of discovery through other means, which would make their eventual confession appear even more suspicious and calculated. The emotional toll on both Kai and Trina is becoming increasingly visible to their friends and family members, who are beginning to notice changes in their behavior and demeanor. Portia, in particular, has started to sense that her daughter is harboring a significant secret, while Curtis Ashford's detective instincts are being triggered by the subtle signs of stress and anxiety that both young people are displaying. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Drew's recovery is progressing faster than expected, giving him more opportunities to reinforce his false accusations against Michael and potentially discover evidence of the safe tampering. Meanwhile, Sonny's planted evidence is being analyzed by forensic experts who may uncover discrepancies that could expose the frame-up operation, potentially leading to questions about who else might have accessed the safe. potential consequences and future implications. The resolution of this complex web of secrets and lies will have far-reaching consequences for everyone involved in the Port Charles community. If Kai chooses to maintain his silence, Drew will likely face conviction for Judge Heron's murder based on the planted evidence, while Michael could be prosecuted for the shooting based on Drew's false testimony. This outcome would represent a complete miscarriage of justice that could haunt Kai and Trina for the rest of their lives. Alternatively, if Trina's conscience ultimately compels her to reveal the truth, both she and Kai will face serious criminal charges for breaking and entering, potentially destroying their academic and professional futures. However, this confession could also expose Sonny's frame-up operation and Drew's false accusations, leading to a complex legal battle that could reshape the power dynamics in Port Charles. The emotional and psychological impact on all parties involved will be profound. Regardless of how the situation unfolds, relationships will be tested, trust will be broken, and the fabric of the Port Charles community will be forever altered by the choices made in this critical moment. The ultimate question remains whether truth and justice will prevail, or if the forces of manipulation and self-preservation will triumph once again. In the morally complex world of Port Charles,